Welcome to Jay by the Bay. I'm Andrew J, and if football is your thing, you're in the right place. Every episode, I'm diving into the latest NFL and college football news, discussing the stories that matter most, and taking a closer look at what's happening around the sport we all love. Whether it's a blockbuster trade, a coaching change, recruiting news, or a developing story that's got the football world talking, we'll break it all right down right here. Football news, football conversations, football year round. And as always, I want to thank everyone who supported me on fulfilling my dream, from my beautiful wife, Kristen, to my mom, to all my friends and relatives. I'm truly blessed to have so many great people in my life. And I also want to thank the Jay by the Bay faithful. None of this is possible without you guys. You guys are seriously awesome, whether you're following me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, subscribe to the Apple Podcasts. Seriously, I do it all for you guys. You guys are awesome. But with that being said, let's get into it. So in this episode, I'll be discussing which rookies I'm high on and one particular rookie that I'm pumping the brakes on, as they're entering their first year in the league. To start off, Offensive Rookie of the Year, it's not a shocker, but I'm going with Jeremiah Love of the Arizona Cardinals. Love, as we all know, he was the third overall pick this year. What this guy did in his last 3 seasons for the Fighting Irish, it was just out of this world. In his 2 years, first, 2 years as a full-time starter last year, and in 2024, he accumulated over 3,000 yards, 40 total touchdowns. I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, just to think. I mean, they had, Notre Dame had playmakers the last 2 years. C.J. Carr under center last year, Riley Leonard in 2024, the year they went to the national championship where they fell to Ohio State. But Jeremiah Love was their offense. I mean, without a doubt. And not to mention, he did all this. He was putting up these numbers with another fellow first round pick, Jadarian Price, who went to Seattle with a 32nd overall pick this year. I mean, it's nuts. Now, yes, the Cardinals, they do have James Conner, who's coming back. He is coming back from an injury. I will say that. But they also have Trey Benson, who is, also in the same backfield, was a third rounder last year. But however, I think that they can coexist in the same backfield, with Love being the premier back and still putting up impressive numbers. But here are a few running backs who did work while sharing the backfield. Thurman Thomas and Kenneth Davis for you Bill fans out there. For 6 seasons, in Buffalo, which not to mention Thomas won the MVP in '91. That same season, I think Davis put up over 600 yards on the ground as well. But also, for you Panther fans, D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart coexisted in the same backfield for 7 seasons. They were actually, and I could be wrong, but I think they were the last running backs that accumulated for 1,000 yards each on the ground in the same season. Excuse me. Yeah, I believe that they were the last running backs to do that, so it can be done. Yes, there were injuries in between then in those 7 seasons, which with Jonathan Stewart eventually taking over the reins. But 7 seasons they coexisted, so it can happen. And then I had one other one I was gonna. Who can forget? Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. Now Montgomery, he's with Houston now, but for 3 seasons, what was it? Sonic and Knuckles, their nicknames, basically Thunder and Lightning. Look what they did in the past 3 years for Detroit. So they shared that backfield with the Lions and for the Lions, and they put up very impressive numbers. So it could happen. So where I'm getting at is with Connor and Benson on the squad, Jeremiah Love can still put up amazing numbers. Plus, there's question marks at the quarterback position. QB1's still up for grabs. Jacoby Brissett, they had the whole thing with the contract, which I think it kind of died out. But then you also got Carson Beck coming in, who they spent a third round pick on. So I think that there's going to be a lot going on with the run game, in Arizona. So where I'm getting at is Connor and Benson on the same squad as Jeremiah Love. He can still put up impressive numbers. What I truly believe, what separates Love though from everybody else is just his versatility. Whether he's bouncing off tackles, slipping through the gaps, or catching the ball at the backfield as a receiver. He probably is the best athlete in this draft. And I truly think that his game translates to, at the next level. His balance through contact and his ability to make defenders miss on routine plays just turns into explosive gains. Simply put, Jeremiah Love is the type of running back that can just change the momentum of a game on a single touch. So, I mean, with that being said, yeah, Jeremiah Love, he's my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, hands down. I mean, there's a lot of other big names that you can throw in there, but I think that he has what it takes. Like I said, there's questions at the quarterback position, but Love, I think he's going to do some truly remarkable things in Arizona, and those fans have something to root for and be happy about. I think it's going to be a fun season for Arizona fans. I mean, it will be a rebuilding season, but Love is the type of player where I think they can start building around. And yeah, I mean, he gives off those Saquon Barkley type vibes. But yeah, Jeremiah Love, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now for Defensive Rookie of the Year, if you've been following my page, you probably know who I'm going with on this one. But I'm going to be going with Ruben Bain Jr., of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I actually had Bain Jr. as my second overall rated player in this whole prospect out of the whole NFL draft. Now I know I'm going to be getting a lot of heat because everybody keeps talking about the whole arm length thing, and I don't care. I don't care. The Bain Jr.'s motor, he's got this motor that just keeps going and going and going, and it just never stops. And that's what you look for in a game-changing edge rusher. And I think that he's going to be doing some big things for the Buccaneers this year as a rookie. I think he's going to come on the scene right away. And I think that's a big presence, especially with Levante David was a linebacker, but I think Bain Jr. is a edge rusher. I think that's exactly the recipe that they were looking for on that defense in Tampa Bay this year. And I think he comes on the scene right away his rookie season and does some big things. He was a staple in Miami's defense ever since he stepped foot in Coral Gables. I watched this guy absolutely dismantle the offensive line of my beloved Buckeyes in the Cotton Bowl. I mean, he got to Julian Sane multiple times. That was a frustrating game to watch. But, I mean, he wreaked havoc. And, I mean, he just set the tone for that defense. And, I hate to be an analytical guy. I hate looking exclusively at stats. But, I mean, last season alone, I mean, here you're looking at 15 and a half tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks, 83 quarterback pressures, 83, 8-3. I mean, that's nuts. He led all of college football last year with his quarterback pressures. I mean, holy cow. Now, yes, he's still yet to suit up for his first game with the Buccaneers. But, I mean, I just think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got an absolute steal at 15. I mean, this is a guy, like I said, I viewed him as my second overall prospect in the whole draft. But I think the fact that he just fell to 15, and I know it's because of the arm length, but him just falling straight to them at 15 was best case scenario for Tampa Bay. But get ready, Bucs fans. There's a new edge rusher in town. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder, and his name's Ruben Bain Jr. My home run of a pick in this draft, and I just think that he just makes an immediate impact, and I hate it, and I hate to irritate any Baltimore Raven fans out there, but it has to be Olai Vavanga Ioane. This guy is an absolute stud. You guys got a hell of a offensive guard. Somebody who's going to actually be protecting Lamar Jackson. This guy, he's the real deal. I mean, I don't know, for people who weren't watching a lot of Penn State football last year, Ioane he was the guy that was keeping, Drew Aller before he got hurt. But Eric DaCosta, he does it again. I can't be too disappointed that he went to Baltimore at 14. Most of my mock drafts, if not all of them, I had Baltimore taking him at 14. And I think I even had one mock draft where I had Baltimore trading up to take him. But absolute stud, offensive guard. He was my 9th overall prospect in the whole entire draft. But yeah, Baltimore got an absolute pulverizing player to protect Lamar Jackson. So, I mean, Get ready, Ravens fans, because you got a good one. Whether it's creating, run lanes or keeping the quarterback clean, he's the type of offensive lineman that every offense wants leading the way. Last year, I mean, first team All Big Ten, first team All American. Last year, I know it was a disappointing year for Penn State. Drew Aller got injured. Hated to see it. But in 614 total reps, this is what this guy did. 614 total reps. He only allowed 4 total pressures and 0 sacks. That's 4. That's where somebody's chasing the quarterback. Just only 4 and 0 goose egg. 0 sacks on the quarterback. As I mentioned, he was my 9th overall prospect. So yeah, I viewed him as a top 10 pick. I would go even so far to say he was a top 5 pick. Nah, just he doesn't play a glamour position. He's not a tackle. He's a guard. He plays inside. But heck of a player. I would definitely say he's probably the best guard prospect to come out since Quentin Nelson went 6th overall to Indianapolis out of Notre Dame. And look what Quentin Nelson's doing for the Colts. But mark my words, Ioane will be an all-pro guard within the next few years for the Ravens, if not this year as a rookie. But yeah, the fact that Baltimore was able to get him at 14 was absolute best case scenario for the Ravens. Eric DaCosta, once again, has a hell of a player. Just fall right into his lap there in the mid rounds, though. Again, as a Browns fan, I hate to see it, but yeah, Baltimore, you got a good one. My dark horse rookie has to be Anthony Hill Jr. with the Tennessee Titans. Titans grabbed Hill Jr. 60th overall, the back end of the second round. This is a guy that at the end of the 24 season, Hill Jr. was viewed, a lot of people, as a potential top 10 pick. So the fact that he didn't even have a bad season last year at Texas. Yes, his numbers are a little lower than they were the previous year, but I mean, he was their defense. He captained that defense. But yeah, the fact that he fell there at 60, I mean, he's going to captain this Titans defense this year. Mark my words, as a rookie, he's going to be the leader of that defense. I'm excited to see what this guy can do at the next level. I mean, he's built for Sundays. Again, no, his numbers weren't as impressive as they were in 2020, this past season as they were in 2024. But he's still a second team All-American, as well as the previous season for the Longhorns. But yeah, Hill Jr., I mean, he possesses this explosive blend of speed, physicality, and versatility that just made him into one of college football's premier defenders. Absolute stud of a linebacker. And best thing for Tennessee, because I mean, they really got a good guy here to be on that defense. They needed to add some playmakers on that defense, and they got a guy here. But yeah, just his ability to diagnose a play so quickly, he just plays sideline to sideline. He can adapt to any defense. You can throw him in any defensive package, and he's going to do just fine. He's going to play lights out, and I think that's what he's going to do his rookie year. I truly think that the Titans got a bargain snagging him at the back end of the second round. I really like this guy, and I just think he makes an immediate impact on that Titans defense, in year one. Now, this one is a rough one for me. The one rookie that, or I should say one of them that I'm pumping the brakes on this year is Casey Concepcion of the Cleveland Browns. Yes, it's known I am a Cleveland Browns fan, a very passionate one at that as well. But yeah, the Concepcion, and I'm not knocking the guy. I'm pumping the brakes on it. The Browns took him with a 24th overall selection. I probably actually would have taken Denzel Boston there, who they end up taking in the second round. But, anyways, that's a separate discussion. But Casey Concepcion, this guy can do some impressive things, when he has the ball. Concepcion was one of the leading receivers in the SEC last year. There's no question about that. He did some good things for the Aggies. This past season, he was a consensus All-American. The numbers were there. He was towards the top of every SEC receiving category, even being tied for first place with receiving touchdowns. He had 9 this season. However, 7 drop passes last season, 19 total for his whole collegiate career. It's hard to overlook. It's his talent is undeniable, but his ability to just take over, games, when games are really, meaningful. He had some really good games last year. Speaking of which, his least productive game was that first round playoff game against Miami, which Texas A&M lost. And I hate being negative, but speed does not matter if you can't catch the ball and hold on to it. As a Cleveland Browns fan, we already have a receiver like that. I'm not going to name names, but yeah, I mean, it's Andrew Berry's drafted for speed before. I will say this is probably the highest prospect that he's actually taken that has speed that can actually do something about it. He's drafted guys in the past. Anthony Schwartz was the last one that just failed miserably. Again, not knocking Schwartz, he didn't work out. But we'll see with Concepcion. When he can catch the ball, he can do some remarkable things with it. Being a Browns fan, I really hope that I'm wrong on this, and I hope that Concepcion proves me wrong. I really do. For my last take, one rookie who I think that nobody is talking about enough has to be Christian Miller, the New Orleans Saints. Saints grabbed this guy at the 42nd overall pick. He was my third-rated defensive tackle in this entire draft. I thought he was someone that possibly could squeak in, slide right into the first round. But he was still there, come 42. And I think he's a guy that can possibly crack the starting lineup week one for the Saints. Miller, he's the definition of a difference maker. He's going to line up. He's going to, he'll take on double teams. As a defensive tackle, he's never going to have the glamour stats, but he's going to get the job done for you. And I think he's someone that could possibly be a top 10 interior defensive lineman within the next 5 seasons. I mean, he built himself up as, one of the SEC's top interior linemen. And this is all thanks to his strength, motor, and his ability to just disrupt plays at the line of scrimmage. Miller has the size to anchor against the run while flashing, quickness to collapse the pocket. And he showed that multiple times for the Bulldogs. He was a presence on that Georgia defensive line. He was consistently commanding double teams. Like I mentioned, he's got that ability, and he just clogs up the running lanes. It was hard. I mean, every game that I saw him in last year, I was in Big Ten country, so didn't see too many SEC games, but every time I was tuning into one of those, primetime Bulldog games, he was constantly just, he was disruptive. I always heard his name. Miller, he consistently generates interior pressure, and he becomes that type of defensive player where offenses have to game plan around. He's that disruptive. But as I mentioned, he's someone that I will not be surprised if he's a week one starter. He's definitely going to get reps. Mark my words on that. But I can see him just starting right away for that New Orleans, defensive front. And yeah, no, don't be surprised midway through the season if you're hearing his name a lot and he's in consideration for, he could be in consideration for defensive rookie of the year. But this is one guy that I think that's not being talked about, enough. Well, that'll do it for episode 4, Jay by the Bay. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Again, if you love these episodes, please hit that subscribe button. Blair Cologne will be joining me again next week. A few of the topics we'll be discussing. Vikings quarterback situation, who we think will be coming out of camp as QB1. We'll also be playing the schedule game a little bit for the NFL, Super Bowl predictions, maybe a team that a lot of people aren't viewing so highly, but that we think that might end up, being a contender. Also, we'll be doing that a little bit with the college football as well. Which teams we think might, make the college football playoff and make a run at a national championship, possibly who might be the next Indiana. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Also, I want to mention Lakeside Angling. If you guys are, they're up in the Cleveland area, I'm not much of a hat guy, but they gifted me with this awesome free hat. Lakeside Angling, though. Yeah, they have everything from shirts, performance gear, hoodies and crew necks, hats, all types of fishing accessories. Check them out, though. Yeah, you can check them out at lakesideangling.com. Again, they're awesome there. They got all your fishing gear for all you fishers out there. But yeah, Yeah, Lakeside Angling. Again, that's lakesideangling.com. I hope you guys keep watching and listening, and it's going to be a fun journey. But thanks, guys. That'll do it for today. Thanks again for tuning in to Jay by the Bay.